Today we'd like to welcome Trevor Dorian. He's going to speak to us about safe and effective strength training. A little bit about Trevor. Trevor is married. He has 2 children, girl and a boy, 5 and 6. He lives in Long Meadow. When we booked this engagement, he was the area fitness manager and head strength and conditioning coach at ATI. He has very recently left ATI, but he agreed also to still come and speak about the things he originally intended to speak about. He is also the co-owner of Enfield Property Management LLC. He and his wife own 7 buildings, which includes 28 apartments that they manage. He is essentially left ATI to become, as he puts it, an entrepreneur. He was a minor league strength and conditioning coach for the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Billings Mustangs in Billings, Montana, and the strength and conditioning coach for the Toronto Blue Jays. He is a graduate of Colby Sawyer College. He has a BS in exercise management and sports sciences with a concentration in exercise science and a minor in psychology, and a master's degree from Springfield College, a master of science in applied exercise science and concentration in strength and conditioning. Welcome, Trevor.
Well, thanks for having me today. I really appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. And thanks for the meal. It was really good. If you ever want to have a strength coach do something for you, just provide food.
Now, what I want to know, was it all salad and vegetables?
I did have the steak tips, and they were delightful. So, how many of you here live and breathe just to strength train every day?
Oh, no, sorry.
To be expected, that's okay. And that's why today I'm going to try and simplify it, break it down to just a handful of exercises, because strength training can be overwhelming, it can be confusing. So where do we begin? So that's what I'm going to talk about. Apologize, I just got to step around to move the PowerPoint. So today I'm going to talk about my background very briefly, because Joanne did most of that. And I'm going to discuss why we should even care about strength training, why you should care, and how to strength train safely and effectively, what exercises I recommend for you, what equipment is required if you want to perform these exercises, and how to begin. Okay? So that's what we're going to talk about. So this is what Joanne talked about, my background here. But when I worked in professional baseball as a strength conditioning coach, it was really important that we selected effective exercises, meaning is beneficial, but it wasn't going to make them overly sore. Because the last thing we wanted to do, number one, we didn't want to injure them. That's signing myself up to go home and never return to work, right? And secondly, we want to make sure and not make them too sore so that they can still perform their best. Because that was really their primary objective, is to be able to play baseball, but we wanted to be able to help them so that they stay strong and healthy through the long season that they have. And so with that background, moving into a private facility, working alongside physical therapists made it much easier for me, because when I was at ATI Physical Therapy, formerly attained therapy and fitness, 50% or more of the clients that I worked with were coming directly out of physical therapy. So they may not even be quite 100%, or maybe they met their previous goals, but they wanted to exceed where they once were. And then they had the opportunity to see a strength coach. And I would just like to say that I was at ATI for over 10 years, and they are an excellent working environment, an excellent facility, and there isn't a lot of formal advertising for the fitness center that is there, but it does exist, and they specialize in working just with post-rehab clients. Okay, why you should care about strength training? It makes you feel great. And at least I'd like to think that anyone who's participated in strength training could tell you the same. And that's why I felt that way at a young age when I started strength training, and I was like, wow, I really want to get other people involved and help them with exercise because it made me feel good physically and mentally. It does make you stronger, of course, your muscles, ligaments, and tendons. So it's going to reduce the chance that you get injured if something were to happen like a fall. It's going to improve your bone density. When your body is under load during a safe exercise with some additional weight, it can increase and stimulate your bone density, which means, again, if something were to happen, you go skiing and you have a fall, there's going to be less chance of a break if you have higher bone density. It's going to improve your balance because when we strength train, we're actually teaching our nervous system, our brain, to recruit and turn on the muscles in the necessary area at the right time. So there's timing and recruitment of those muscles. We're training our body to recruit those muscles and turn them on. And that's going to lead to improving your balance and your body control. And it's going to improve your mobility because we like to say in the fitness world, motion is lotion. And when you're doing strength training, it literally lubricates your joints, increases blood flow, so your tendons and ligaments feel better and your joints feel better. And another really important factor is it's going to extend our time in which we're able to do activities of daily living. Those are like the basic necessity things that we need to do at home, whether it's going up and down the stairs, getting up and down from the couch. It's going to extend that time in which you're able to do that if you're regularly doing strength training. Alright, so we want to pay close attention to the prep and the warm-up. And the exercises that I'm going to provide, you can use as a form of warm-up or prepping your body. So if you're already participating in an exercise routine, whether it's upper lower body or total body, you could do these exercises prior to. Or if you're not, you could still do these exercises. Okay? And so with the exercises that I'm going to provide, we're going to target the shoulders and the hips. And the reason being is the shoulders and the hips are ball and socket joints. So the elbow is a hinge joint like this, okay? But a ball and socket joint of the shoulder, for example, look at the range of motion in the ball and socket joint. So with great range of motion comes great vulnerability to injury. All right, so we want to target the shoulders and we want to target the hips. And the additional benefits of targeting the shoulders is it's going to help improve your posture. It's going to reduce pain in upper back, neck, shoulder, and elbow. From pain from arising in the future, or if you currently have pain, you could potentially reduce it by doing the exercises that target the shoulders. The same holds true for the hips. Also ball and socket joints, great range of motion, vulnerable to injury. Strengthening the hips is also going to improve your posture. It's going to reduce the chance of having pain in the hip, or if you currently have pain, it could reduce it. Also for the knees and the low back. And when we talk about the exercises, I can explain why. So what exercises are there? There's just 3 for the upper and 3 for the lower. I call them the upper body big 3 and lower body big 3. The big 3 because they're big in that they have major impact on your body. Prone T's, W's, and L's. And then with the lower body, clamshells, side lying hip. Oh, it's a typo. I changed it out. Clamshells, prone form, hip extension, and single leg balance. Okay. Forget that you saw that. Alright. Okay, so I got videos here, real quick. The prone T. Here's an example of me lying on a bench. If you don't have a bench, there's an example of me on the floor, so you can do them on the floor. You're going to keep your arms completely straight, palms down, and it's going to strengthen the muscles in your upper back. And as far as weight is concerned, 5 pounds or less, but in the beginning I recommend just body weight, no weights. So no weights are necessary. All you need is a floor and a mat, which I'll show you as a recommendation for a mat that you could get. Prone W's, you're going to have a lot of bend in your elbows. Joanne, you know about these exercises, don't you? I've had Joanne do hundreds of reps of these. A lot of bend in the elbows, squeezing the shoulder blades back. It's also going to strengthen your rotator cuffs. Prone L's. So the elbows are actually at shoulder height. Envision a metal rod or some sorts running through your shoulders from elbow to elbow, and you rotate on that axis. That's the range of motion you want to go through, palms facing each other. And when you're lying on the bench or on the floor, you want to try and keep your head directly in line with your spine. So your head's not dipped forward, and you're not looking up like this either. You want your head to be right in line with your spine. So for the lower body big three, we've got clamshells. Okay, feet are stacked, lying on your side. And if you have a mini band available, you got to put it over your knees. It's probably the hardest part, putting the band over your feet. It is part of the exercise. But that's going to strengthen the side of your hip. We call it the gluteus medius. That's the muscle it targets, which helps with single leg stability. Prone forearm hip extension. I really like this one because it targets the biggest muscle in your bottom, the gluteus maximus. And that muscle actually is the primary mover for hip extension, which means when you bend over, the muscles that you want working, your brain should be telling your gluteus maximus to be firing, so that when we bend over and stand up, our low back doesn't get worn out. When we don't use that gluteus maximus muscle, then our low back is going to get worn out. That's what happens. But to know, when performing this, you want to have the one knee directly underneath the hip and resting on the forearms, and that's going to help keep the spine in a nice, straight, neutral position so the spine isn't flexing or extending excessively. This is the one that I had to tell you about verbally. It wasn't listed. The single leg 90-90 balance. And you can do this anywhere, anytime. At home, in the kitchen. Waiting for the toast to pop up from the toaster. Or to flip your eggs. Or I like to balance on one foot while I'm brushing my teeth, because then I'm doing it every day. So you want to have one knee at about belly button height. Preferably, ideally, would be great, but it's not absolutely necessary, but it will help recruit the front of your hip, the muscles in the front of your hip. And also with the leg that you're balancing on, it's going to work the glute max and medius, the side and back muscles of your hip, because you need those muscles to help stabilize your body so that you can balance on one foot. And once you're able to lock into that balance position, then you can focus on posture and lengthening your spine. So there's a lot of benefits from that. So what equipment? So I have a sample of this is a mini band, and you can order these on Amazon, or you could go in the Target in the fitness location, or Dick's Sporting Goods. Dumbbells, these are just an example of 2-pound dumbbells. And you really do want to keep them light for those particular exercises that I listed. You could start with just body weight. You could start with, and then progress to soup cans. And then if you want more weight, then say, okay, I'm going to buy some dumbbells.
Soup cans empty or full?
Yes.
Good question. I guess it depends on if you had them for dinner, but if it's before or after dinner. And then here's a mat. So something like this would be really great, and ideally on a carpet, because if you place this on a wood floor, it can slip, so you want to be careful about that. But this is going to make it comfortable for your knees. And if you have concern about getting up and down from the floor, that's reasonable. You should. And but the thing is, you know, accidents do happen, unfortunately, and this is a great way, in a controlled manner, to practice getting up and down from the floor. So if there ever comes a time when we do accidentally fall, we're able to get up. You know, we have a better chance of being able to get up on our own. So you could use a mat on a carpet, grab a chair, or place it next to the couch, and then you can use the furniture to assist with yourself getting up and down if you need it. All right, so where do you begin? Anytime you want to set a goal, I always say you got to define your purpose. Even if it's fear of losing what you have, or if you're just determined to feel better, maybe you have aches and pains in your shoulders or your hip, you want to determine your why. Because if you don't have that, then it's not going to last. So define your purpose, determine your why, and that's going to give you a reason to create this as part of a daily routine, or at least prior to participating in exercise. And like I mentioned, Perform Better, or Amazon. Perform Better is another website where you can buy the equipment online. They sell just exercise equipment. As far as how many reps and sets, just one set would be sufficient of each exercise, of 15 repetitions. All right, and but with the single leg balance, it's going to be a timed activity. So I would try and shoot for 15 seconds, and you could start with fingertips on a countertop, and then move them away when you can for 15 seconds, and then work it up to 30. In a perfect world, you do it every day. Reality is, it's not going to happen every day, but if you have the intentions of doing it every day, it can become a habit that you do on a regular basis, and you'll definitely see some progress. And if you're already doing exercise in some shape or form, whether it's going out for a run or going into the gym to lift some weights, if it's an upper body day, you could do the big 3 upper body exercises, or if prior to a run, you could do the big 3 lower body exercises. Thanks for listening. So I do have a free list of the big 6 exercise list with the videos on a website. It's called coach2go.online. Or if you ever have any questions, you can just email me. If you wanted more details or whatever.
Okay, do we have any questions from
Sure, is it true, use it before you lose it? I guess that's what you're saying, keep doing things so you can keep going.
Yes. Keep moving as much as you can, stay active. Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Now, what is the best time to conduct these type of exercises? Early in the morning, or at the end of the day, or any time?
It's a great question. I recommend in the morning. I don't know about you, but some mornings I feel stiff, even if it's just from, a previous workout, and my shoulders and my hips or back or whatever. So as soon as you wake up, you can do those exercises right after getting out of bed, and that's going to make you feel great and ready and prepared for the rest of the day.
When I bike ride occasionally, I know I've heard that you should stretch before, after, both, or what? When you're doing any exercise, anything like that.
I would recommend doing the big 3 lower body exercises prior to, if possible. And then if you have time after the bike ride, do some stretches. Because then at that point, your body's warmed up, your core body temperature is increased, blood's flowing through your knees and your hips, and it's going to be easier and more effective when you stretch, when your muscles warmed up. Yes.
Any restrictions for someone who's had joint replacement doing these exercises?
The rule of thumb that I like to follow is refer to pain scale of 0 to 10. 0 is nothing, 10 is excruciating. Keep the pain below a 4. And you can do that by, if you're performing, for example, if you have a shoulder replacement, which they do exist now, and you're doing a prone T with body weight, if you start to have pain back here, that's a 6 or 7, then keep the range of motion here. Eventually, over time, it will increase. So you can reduce the weight if possible. So if you start with 5 pounds and you're like, oh wow, I can't do that, I'm getting too much pain, then you reduce the weight. Or if you feel the pain through a certain range of motion, you reduce the range of motion. If you still have pain above a 3 on a scale of 0 to 10, performing the exercise at all, then I wouldn't do it. For lower body, the exercises, based on my experience, are safe. However, people that have recently had a knee replacement may not feel comfortable kneeling on their knee. So when they do that prone forearm hip extension, some folks in the beginning aren't going to feel comfortable being on their knee. But as time goes on, many months forward, eventually with a soft enough cushion, they'll feel okay.
Okay, any other?
It was just going to comment in regards to the facility, ATI, and then Trevor mentioned that most of the people that end up on the fitness side, come there as a result of being on the therapy side. But that isn't the only people that go there. There are a lot of people that just they have personal training. There's classes, some classes geared towards seniors.
Yes.
And I know
You're looking at me?
No, I'm not. Yes, I'm just saying that, for people who might, after a certain age, might feel like they can't go to these types of programs. And also, I know they do a lot of training on student athletes on that, so it's not just a transition from therapy in place.
Great point.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the other thing is that, and again, this is just a sidebar, but there's been a lot of these kinds of articles in the paper recently regarding doing these kinds of things. If you have arthritis, it basically keeps people away from the opioids to treat pain as opposed to taking medication. Anyway.
John?
In your new business venture, are you doing all like online advice, or do you have a home gym you're using, or are you taking on personal clients?
I do some in-home training. For some people, if they're extremely busy or they prefer not to go into a facility, then I can try and accommodate.
Are you still contracted with ATI then to use the gym to do training?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm no longer an employee with them. But and I do the online training for people that just would like some guidance and direction with a custom workout, and the exercises have the videos that we showed, so they can reference that when they're going through their workout.
Okay, any other questions? Very nice. We have a tradition here at the club when we have a guest speaker that after the speech has been given, we give a book to the East Longmeadow Library in their name. And we ask the guest speaker, in your case, Trevor, at the start of the meeting to make a choice of what book you'd like to have donated. And the one that you selected was Gruffalo by Julia Donaldson. And the book will be donated. There'll be a label on the front, specifically mentioning you. We give this to you as sort of a bookmark with the hopes that you'll use it in your books, and every once in a while, when you read the book, you'll look at the marker and say, oh, my fond days at giving a talk at East Longmeadow.
Thank you so much.
So again, thank you very much. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Just before we end our meeting, I would like to go through the four-way test. Don, will you lead us in the four-way test?
Sure, the four-way test. Of the things we say and do. First,
The truth.
second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
fourth,
Will it be beneficial to all concerned? That concludes the meeting. Everybody have a great day.